find that if I focus on these two things that I'm gonna cover in this video, it helps me level up no matter what. Let's get into it right now. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a 7-figure certified life and business coach, as well as CEO, wife, and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, but that doesn't mean I'm perfect, right? It means I am still working on my own level up journey. And so in this video, I wanted to talk about a key secret that I have found has helped me level up at any level in life. When I was just getting started in my business, when I was just getting started in my career, even now when I am venturing to hit to the next level, not just in my business, but with my team and my leadership, and even in my personal life and my parenting, all the things, I find that if I focus on these two things that I'm gonna cover in this video, it helps me level up no matter what. So as I'm recording this, we are at the back half of the year, right? We're actually in Q4, so we have less than 100 days left as of this recording. And if you're like, listen, 2025 is my year, first of all, if that's your mindset, we're the same. I see you, I feel you, because I'm like 2025 is gonna be my year as well. But if you're wondering about how to make that happen, or you're a little nervous because you've had, New Year's before where you've told yourself this is gonna be my year and it didn't happen, I'm gonna challenge you to really implement these two strategies that I do anytime I want to level up. So if you're about that level up life, you're gonna love this video. So let's get into it right now. All right, so anytime I wanna level up, right? I'm like, let me get comfortable. It doesn't matter what level we're talking about. There's two things that I do that I find are very, very helpful. So the first one, and I know some of you are gonna be like, what are you talking about? But I mean it. The first thing that I do is I get comfortable with quote unquote first class. So I'm saying first class as an analogy, but I'm also saying it literally. You might know that I am a points and travel girl. I love credit card points and all of that, and I stack them up so that I can fly literally first class whenever I travel somewhere. But to use this as an analogy for our lives, think about first class, right? First class isn't the destination. So you're getting on a plane, you're flying first class somewhere. It's not the destination. It is just the experience that you have on the way to the destination. And I say this because whether you fly first class or not, whether you use credit card points like me or not, or what have you, when it comes to our lives and our goals and the things that we are going after in the next level, I want you to pause and ask yourself, are you allowing yourself to have a first class experience on the way there, right? In a figurative sense. And I say this because I find that it's often difficult to level up if you have a mindset of kind of beating yourself down, pushing yourself harder, and really withholding happiness from yourself. That's ultimately what it is. Withholding happiness from yourself on the journey until you get to the destination, right? I know women unfortunately do this a lot when it comes to health and weight loss and all of this. It's like, if I can't fit into this dress, I'm gonna make myself be miserable for the next 6 weeks or 6 months in order to get to a particular size, and then I'll allow myself to be happy when I get there. That's a terrible mindset that you wanna have. Ditto, if you are in a corporate job and you're like, hey, 2025 or whatever year you're watching this is my year to transition. Watch yourself. Are you making yourself more miserable at work than you need to be because you're like, no, I will not be happy until I quote unquote hit the destination of leaving my job and being full-time in my business. Maybe you're already full-time in your business, but you haven't yet hit a revenue milestone. Maybe you haven't hit your first 6 figures, or you're not getting the amount of clients that you want. And so you're making yourself miserable because you're like, no, unless I have, 5 clients a month, or unless I'm hitting 10K a month, I will not allow myself to be happy. This, my friends, is not allowing yourself to have a first class experience, right? Remember, first class is the experience that you have on the way to the destination. It's not the destination, right? The destination, wherever you're going, is ultimately greater than the first class experience, but you still want to allow yourself to have it. Why? Because you're worth it, right? And that's for me, when I got into credit card points and literally started flying first class. I know a lot of people are like, well, even with the points, I think it's a waste of money, and you can use your points on something else. You can get cash back on your credit cards or whatever. But for me, it was an exercise in reminding myself that in every step of the journey, I'm worth it and my experience matters. I think sometimes we get into this focus of life is just a series of milestones, or life is just a series of goals achieved. And all the in between doesn't matter. All the in between is the throwaway, when actually the opposite is true. We only hit so many milestones in life. You get married, or you have your first child, or whatever. You graduated from school, or you achieved this thing at work, or, there's only so many major milestones that we can count maybe on both hands in our lives, but God willing, we live a long life. What about the times in between? What about the years, the months, the days, the weeks in between, if we are not allowing ourselves to have a first-class experience on this? So whether you are taking this in a literal sense or in a figurative sense, I mean it in both instances, you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself to have a first-class experience on the way to whatever destination, figuratively, that you are going to. So think about the goals that you have for the next year, think about the breakthroughs that you are trying to achieve, and think about how can you cultivate an experience that is worth it on your way to the destination, right? It doesn't have to be misery and, oh my goodness, I can't stand this. So let's say you are on a fitness or health or weight loss journey. How can you take care of yourself on the way there? Can you buy yourself cute workout clothes? Or can you allow yourself to have little home spa days, or, bubble baths and champagne or whatever it is while you are taking care of your health, versus just looking in the mirror every day and feeling completely miserable because you're not where you want to be? In a business sense, how can you take care of yourself on the way to the destination of being the CEO that you want to be, or being the full-time entrepreneur that you want to be? For me, I know when I was working full-time in my corporate job, I used to love taking myself on my lunch break to this high-end hotel downtown. So at the time I was working in corporate America in Dallas, Texas, and on my lunch break, I would pack my personal, MacBook, and I would walk a few blocks on my lunch break to this beautiful hotel. It's still in Dallas to this day. It's called The Jewel. And I would just sit in the lobby. And so for the 45 minutes or so that I had left before I had to walk back to my office, I would just take in the experience. I would do my work and work on my social media and answer emails and whatever, do all of my client stuff in my business from that lobby. Half the time I would actually pack my lunch at work, and I would heat it up in the microwaves at work. And then I would take it with me and go to this hotel lobby, and I would eat out of my Tupperware in the lobby. So I wasn't even, eating at this restaurant per se. I was eating food that I brought from home. But having the experience was enough to really not only motivate me, but to lock in that identity that I was moving towards my goals. And that actually leads me to the second point that I find that I do that is very, very powerful, that allows me to level up at any level, and that is really making that identity shift. So I find that we have this false understanding of achieving goals, where we think that once we start continuously doing the thing, then we become the person. But the opposite is actually true. When you become the person, then you will have the capability of doing the thing. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it is the truth. And so for me, in my business journey, in addition to making sure that I was having a first-class experience even while working my full-time job and working towards ultimately becoming a full-time entrepreneur, that first-class experience was important for me because it allowed me to lock in the identity of being a full-time entrepreneur. So what I'm saying is, I was a full-time entrepreneur before I was a full-time entrepreneur, right? I was a full-time entrepreneur mentally, and my identity, I genuinely identified as a full-time entrepreneur before that became my reality. And you might say, oh, this is just word games or wordplay. You weren't a full-time entrepreneur. No, I told myself I was, right? So even though I worked my full-time job, literally, if I was in the car and I was driving downtown to work, I would tell myself, I am not on my way, quote unquote, to work. I am on my way to my biggest client for an on-site work appointment, because that was the truth. Whether you think of yourself as being in business for yourself or not, you are in business for yourself. You are currently the owner of You Inc. And so whatever corporation that you currently work for, that just happens to be your biggest client. And so I recognized that, and I leaned into that in order to lock in my identity. And I found that as I started to have this self-talk of no, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. My job just happens to be my largest client. I am working on site. It gave me this feeling of autonomy and self-agency, which oftentimes we withhold from ourselves because we make up all of these beliefs that we don't have the ability to do whatever it is that we want to do. And so understand that if you don't believe that you have autonomy, if you don't believe that you are a free agent, you will slip into a victim mindset because you're believing that all of these external things are happening to you instead of happening for you. But shifting the narrative and shifting my identity really allowed me to show show up and be more confident. And so it had this cascading effect that actually was positive that led me to then be able to go full time in my business. Because then when I showed up on my sales calls with potential clients, I wasn't on the phone as, oh, I'm just me and I'm working my full-time job, but I'm not really an entrepreneur. I feel like an imposter. And hey, do you want to buy my coaching program? I mean, who's going to say yes to that? No one, right? But I showed up on those calls as, hi, I'm Courtney Sanders, the founder of, CLS, and I am the CEO of this organization, and these are the coaching offers and packages that I have for you. And so even though I am that quote unquote on paper now, I showed up that way back then because I shifted my identity. So hopefully you see that the two go hand in hand. Make sure that you are allowing yourself to have a first-class experience on the way to your destination, whatever that looks like for you, right? If you're not into high-end stuff, it doesn't have to literally be first class, but I mean, take care of yourself, value the journey, don't just value the destination, and don't force yourself to be miserable just because you don't have the end results yet. You'll find that if you take care of yourself in the in-between, you will start to identify as the person that you ultimately want to be, and it makes it that much easier for you to bring it about faster. All right, so hopefully this gave you some motivation on your journey towards the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, or whenever it is that you are listening to this. If this was really encouraging for you and you would love to develop your own insights this way and your own ability to create shifts in your clients, I invite you to check out my Coach of Life Success certification and marketing program. So Coach of Life Success, the initials CLS, yes, it's also double entendre, my own initials, but we teach you not only my coaching methodology and help you get accredited in my coaching methodology, but we show you how to come up with your own coaching methodology so that you can create transformations like this in your own clients. If that sounds of interest to you, go ahead and click the link below to check it out. We not only help you come up with this coaching methodology and get you certified, but we also show you how to launch your business. We'll give you all the tech tools in order to do so, and we even have a tech team on deck that can do a lot of the back-end heavy lifting for you. So again, click the link below to learn more about it, and if you're interested, go ahead and apply, and my enrollment team will reach out to set up a phone call where they can walk through the entire process with you. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. If you loved it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you can't wait for my next YouTube video or my next podcast, make sure you're following me on both Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm active on both platforms, and with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.